Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much indeed for coming here this evening on this rather rainy night. And thank you to those who have joined us online as well, because we are being streamed live. My name is John Briggs. I am your moderator for our discussion this evening on the use of Crowborough's Army Camp being used for asylum accommodation. A couple of housekeeping items to begin with, if we'd be so kind. Should we be interrupted by a fire alarm at any point, please take your nearest fire exit through the doors to your left. You can see the green signs. Make your way to the far side of the car park. Staff will also be on hand to assist and direct. Alternatively, should there be a lockdown, please remain in your seats and await further instructions. And can I ask that your mobile phones are now turned to silent or indeed off, if you would be so kind. Okay. On to this evening. A reminder that this is an opportunity for voices to be heard. While we recognise, of course, that there are a range of political opinions in this room, our objective today or tonight is to ensure that residents' questions are heard and answered, as opposed to making this a platform for political statements. We're going to start with addresses from our panel, the Mayor of Crowborough, Natalie Whittle, the Leader and Deputy Leader of Wealden District Council, James Partridge, and Rachel Millwood. And we also have Ian Teish, who's the portfolio holder for Planning and Environment on the Wealden District Council as well, who'll be dealing with any questions regarding planning. I will then put some of the most frequently asked pre-submitted questions to our Home Office representatives. We have Andrew Larter and we have Louisa LaRue, who are joining us remotely. We'll work through as many as we can in the 30 minutes or so before we then open up the questions to the floor, and you'll be able to ask questions directly. When we do that, I shall try my best to get around as many people as possible. We will have a team, microphone wranglers. There are two of them. Please wait for the microphone to come to you, otherwise our Home Office representatives, of course, can't hear you. And we'll be giving you a maximum of 2 minutes possible. So we'll hear from as many people as we possibly can, and then no one voice is heard to dominate. And if you do near your 2 minutes, I will be asking you very kindly and as politely as I can to conclude. We'd ask you please to start by giving your name and any affiliation that you think is important in terms of any group that you're representing. And there won't be any time for follow-up questions, I'm afraid, afterwards, but further information will be available on the Town and District Council's website alongside tonight's recording. And I also ask you please to be as respectful as possible. There are a variety of opinions that are going to be expressed here in this room tonight. We'll try and ensure that as many of those opinions are heard, and I know that everyone's going to appreciate being heard, no matter how vehemently you may or may not disagree with the views that are being expressed. That will last for around about an hour. We'll wrap up at about 9:30. We'll hear some closing views from James, Rachel, and Natalie before we conclude. Any questions that were pre-submitted that we don't have time to get to, the Town Council have recorded. They will submit them in writing to the Home Office to get some answers, and then a decision on the site will be determined by the Home Office imminently. I hope that everyone will conduct themselves in as fair a manner as possible. As the moderator, my job is largely, and I am completely independent of anybody else in this room, to work as a sheepdog, just to round people up and point them in the right direction. Although if people are too loud and do dominate too often, I can turn from sheepdog into Rottweiler, so just be warned. And I shall issue a first warning, and then if repeat offences occur, it may lead to removal, which of course we want to avoid to ensure our time is best spent on the subject at hand, and it is very wet out there, so I don't recommend being ejected. That's my bit done for now. I shall hand over to Mayor Natalie Whittle, Wealden District Council Leader and Deputy James Partridge, and Rachel Millwood to begin the proceedings. And first of all, Mayor Natalie Whittle, please.
Gosh, thank you everyone. Well, for those that don't know me, my name is Natalie Whittle and I have the honour of being Crowborough's Mayor this year. Before I open on behalf of the Town Council officially, I'd like to speak a few words personally. The one thing that I see before me, and I've seen over the last few weeks, is people that care. Thank you. Can I ask, whatever happens over the next few weeks, months or years, Please keep that spirit of caring in our community in the forefront of your minds. An amazing example of this that I'd just like to highlight right now is the wonderful turnout that we had at the Remembrance Parade on Sunday. It was wonderful. It made our veterans proud. Thank you. Please care about our wonderful hospital. The Friends of Crowborough Hospital are still fighting cuts to the birthing unit, to the Oh, thank you. Thank you.
This is not the point of this meeting. Let us please let her be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Crowborough is a wonderful, kind and loving town.
Hang on, we are not going to get anywhere with interruptions. I appreciate that this is what we've got, but please let her be heard, otherwise there's no point in you being here. Indeed. Please let her be heard, and your questions, I promise, will be answered. Thank you.
On behalf of Crowborough Town Council, I want to thank you for taking the time to attend this meeting. We have organised it so that accurate information from the Home Office, department responsible for the asylum accommodation, can be shared, and so that voices and concerns of our community can be heard clearly and respectfully. As the Mayor, I wanted to organise this meeting so that we, the community of Crowborough, can ask questions about this proposal by the Home Office to use the former Army Camp as accommodation for asylum seekers. I would like to acknowledge that we've heard across our community that this proposal has caused significant concern. Firstly and foremost, the way the information was released has, unsurprisingly, led to many residents feeling that they have not been engaged or consulted with in advance of the announcement, and that is a legitimate frustration. Many of you will have seen that the officers of the Home Office have already apologised for the poor levels of communication, and it is essential that genuine consultation is at the heart of the process when decisions of this magnitude are being considered, and that has not happened. There are real and pressing concerns about the suitability of the site itself. Questions have already been asked of officials to provide evidence of assessments showing how this site is now considered a viable location for the purpose. We all question the impact that this centre might have on local services, infrastructure, and community well-being. These are not abstract questions, they are practical, lived realities for those who call Crowborough home. Tonight is an opportunity to hear the facts as the Home Office currently understand them, to seek clarity where it is lacking, and to ensure that your questions are recorded and answered moving forward. We may not leave this meeting with all our answers, but the Crowborough Town Council is committed to ensuring that every concern is heard and taken seriously. Thank you once again for all coming and being here. We have collected the questions from our community that have been emailed in and sent to our officers and sent to individual councillors as well, and those will be put forward this evening. The answers will then be published by Wealden and Crowborough councils as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalie. Can I ask James Partridge and Rachel Millwood to please come and join us? Thank you.
Oh dear, dear me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank the Mayor and Crowborough Town Council very much for partnering with us on this meeting, and to Andrew Larter of the Home Office for accepting our invitations to this meeting and our Scrutiny and Performance Committee meeting on Monday. I've received hundreds of emails, most of them from people who, like me, live in or near Crowborough. there's one thing on which they all agree. Like me, they're really, really worried about what the news about the Home Office proposals has already done to the neighbourly relationships in this town, relationships which we hugely value, and what those proposals mean for Crowborough now and in the future, if they came to reality. A major cause of that worry is that we haven't had enough information to be able to assess what it would mean and what effect it might have. There's a lot of conflicting information circulating, and it can't all be right. That's confusing and worrying in itself. You have to look at facts because they look at you, as somebody once said. I very much hope that this evening will lead to a lot of our questions being answered, so that even if we don't like what we hear, we will have a better idea of where we stand.
Evening, everybody. My name's Rachel Millward. I'm the Deputy Leader of Wealden District Council, and I have I'm the lead cabinet member for Community, Culture and Communications. There's already been a lot said about how we've had something of a communications vacuum when this news kind of dropped through the leak to the press. And in that vacuum has come a lot of misinformation. So I'm so grateful that we've got this chance tonight, that the Home Office are with us. We had them with us for 2.5 hours on Monday morning at a Scrutiny and Performance Committee at Wealden District Council. They were answering a lot of questions from our councillors concerned for the well-being of our residents, of these communities, and also...
Please let people be heard. We ask for respect. There isn't any at this point, and so you are not helping the contribution. I appreciate your passion, but please let Rachel be heard.
I forgot where I got to. I guess part of our, really central to our strategy as a council is care for community well-being and resilience. And so we're here to sort of listen to our local communities and also think about the well-being of asylum seekers in the situation. Yeah, we are. So I wanted to explain a bit about the...
There is no point in being insulting either. If you are going to be like that, I will ask you to be removed. Please, just wait. This is an open...
Yeah.
Shush, please.
Yeah.
This is an open forum for everybody to be heard, not just one voice. And we can't have it if people are going to be insulting. Well, thank you very much indeed for your opinion, but that's not helping. This isn't going to work, madam, if you're going to be like that.
There is no contradiction in wanting the best thing.
Do you want to hear or not?
There is no contradiction.
Do you want to hear the answers or not?
There is no contradiction in wanting the best thing for our communities and wanting the safety of all our communities and also upholding the rights and the dignity of asylum seekers. Those things can happen at the same time. So, to explain what the District Council is, because there are different authorities. So, in terms of our responsibility here, we'll move on to the Home Office so you can ask them the questions that you want to ask them because this is their project and they want to deliver it. But I wanted to explain that the County Council covers adult social care, public health, transport. All of these will obviously be services that are impacted by this project should it go ahead. We share with the County Council a community brief, a community leadership brief, which we have that. Our other responsibilities, we have housing as a district council. I just wanted to explain that that service doesn't come into effect because there is no expectation that these asylum seekers would enter our housing system. That would happen elsewhere in the country. And in terms of waste, there'll be commercial pickup. But the service which a lot of people are talking about and which the district council has, which is relevant here, is planning, which is why we have Councillor Ian Tish here. He is the portfolio holder for planning. There are a lot of requests around that we act on that. So I don't know, do you want to summarise now or do you want to leave it for later in terms of what our position is?
Yeah.
Let's move on to that.
I think we should move on to the Home Office.
We'll move on to the Home Office. All right, well, Ian's here to answer your questions on planning and what our positions are. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Okay, it is important. I understand. Passions are really, really high here, and I get that. But shouting over one another and being insulting isn't going to add to our argument or indeed allow you to hear the questions. I think. So let's get the questions and the answers from the Home Office. Madam, I will ask those questions that have been pre-submitted, and then you can take some answers. And no. That is entirely your choice. Okay. Well, if
National security, that's what we voted for.
So, at this point, let's actually hear what we have to say, or what the Home Office has to say at this point. Our questions to the Home Office are being addressed to Andrew Larter and Louisa LaRue. Andrew, before we begin, can you please tell us a little bit about your background and your position and what brings you to be the person who is here answering these questions? Can we hear from Andrew?
I can't hear him.
Let's just double check that we can actually be heard, and we have a line that works, because it has been tested and it was working earlier.
I can hear you, John.
Andrew, do you want to try again? Andrew, can you hear us?
Lou, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Can you hear us? The beauty of technology.
Oh, great.
While we're waiting, would Wealden tell us what they're going to do to try and delay or stop that?
Did you see that? Can we get neither of us? Okay, yep.
You've got right. Right, can you hear me? Yeah. Good, thank you. Right, I've got the planning, my name's Ian Tish, I'm a councillor for Maresfield, I've got the planning portfolio, and I've come here to try and explain what is possible for Wealden to do, and perhaps more importantly, although this will be the more unpopular side of it, what we actually can't do, despite what you've been told or may have heard or read elsewhere. So, you've probably heard a lot about stop notices. Is that right? Yeah, okay. Stop notices are a form of what's called planning control, and they exist to help us deal with situations in which somebody actually does something that they need planning permission for, but they haven't obtained that planning permission to do it. You can't use it when they're threatening to do something that they shouldn't be doing. You can't use it when they've got a plan to do it, or even when they publish a decision to do it. It has to have actually happened. And it has to be accompanied by something called an enforcement notice, which tells the person what they're doing wrong and what they need to do to put it right. So stop notices, contrary to what has been said several places, can't be used at the moment because nothing has yet happened. I went to the camp, it's not wrong, I went to the camp on Tuesday. It wasn't not because of Monday evening when I was here. That had been arranged beforehand. There are no asylum seekers in residence. There are... Yes, contracts may have been... No, I'm sorry, that is not... It's not a breach of planning law to sign a contract.
You need to publish your legal advice, sir.
Sorry?
You should publish the legal advice, sir, and I'm not sure people here regard you as an expert.
I'm not an expert, but I know a fair amount. The expert is a King's Counsel who is not here.
It means nothing. Let's see the advice.
The advice, well, it's not up to me whether we publish the advice, but it would be very foolish in many ways to publish the advice, because that would alert the Home Office to any arguments we've got against them, and would mean that we are entering into a court case, if we're going to do one, with at least one hand tied behind our back. You do not find parties... Pardon? The advice we're getting is not about whether people are upset. We know that. It's about legal grounds. It's about legal grounds for stopping this. Now, unsurprisingly, over the years, the government has, you could use the word rigged if you want to, but certainly set up the law so that it's in a much better position when it comes to planning than you are, or I am, or a company is, or a business, or anybody else. What does that mean in practice? It means that if asylum seekers were to move in tomorrow, and if the government didn't use the special power it's got to say that's fine for a year, without telling us anything about it, without having to apply to us, without having to do anything except get an environmental assessment, which they can do usually with Natural England and bypass us again in most circumstances, if they were to move in tomorrow and those laws didn't exist, we could serve a stop notice. But because of the protection the government's got, that stop notice would simply be a piece of paper. If we served a stop notice on anybody here and you didn't obey it, we could take you to court, we could have you fined, we could send people into your house or your land, whatever it is, put the stuff right and charge you the cost of it. We can't do any of that with the government unless the government agrees that we can do it, which of course they are not going to do. I'm telling you what we can't do because there was a meeting here on Monday night. Yes, that's fine, but people have been... No, I'm not. People have been... People have been shouting out things in this meeting which are incorrect, and it is part of my job here to correct them. And if you're worried about wasting time, I suggest you stop interrupting, because then we'll get along a lot faster. Right. Equally, so, is the law powerless to stop people who threaten to do something wrong? No, generally it's not. You can't serve a stop notice to stop a threat. You can get an injunction. Again, you can't get the injunction against the government unless the government says you can apply to the court. Now, people who know about this, including MPs, know this is right because Brentwood Council spent a lot of time and money trying to do exactly that in relation to RAF Weatherfield, and they failed in court 3 times in 2023. So, and just to repeat, the government has got a particular power which allows it to change the use of a camp, of any of its property, but in this case it's a camp, from one class of use to another without getting planning permission, without approaching the council in any way. Fact. So what can we do? We can look at the process in detail, we can ask the Home Office questions, we can ask the Home Office to do stuff. We can see if legally what the Home Office has told our officers in the confidential meetings that took, well, the one actually main confidential meeting, that was the first warning we had, not long before you knew about it all. If any of that amounts to a promise or assurance that a court will enforce. And if there is a case on that basis, then we can apply for something called judicial review. Now again, contrary to what you may have picked up, judicial review is not a question of going to court and saying to a judge, we don't like this, can you stop it please? It is far more restrictive than that. It is going to court and saying to a judge, the government's broken the law in some way, or the government's made a promise that it's vital it keeps and it hasn't kept it, or the government has failed to do something in this process which it really ought to do and which it can't make a sensible decision without doing. At the moment, our advice is that those circumstances do not yet exist, but there's still a long way to go. The Home Office has got a lot of work to do before...
Well, the Home Office has got a lot of questions to answer.
And a lot of questions
So
to
shall we answer some of those
Absolutely.
questions?
I will stop in just a moment.
Yeah.
And we will be watching closely, and if they trip up, we will be there to take action.
Okay. Thank you, Ian.
Sorry?
For the time being, I'm going to ask Ian, thank you,
Okay.
because the time is short and I want to make sure we get these questions. We now have a link to the Home Office, which was now back in place. Andrew Larter, Louisa LaRue, can you still hear me?
I can hear you, John.
Wonderful. Okay. I'm going to ask you the question I asked you at the beginning, which was, please, Andrew, if you tell us your background and your position within the Home Office and what brings you to us and our discussion tonight. Why are you here?
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me. My name's Andrew Larter. I'm the Director of Asylum Accommodation in the Home Office. I've been working in this area for a couple of years. I hope I can answer as many of your questions as fully as possible. I'm going to keep my answers short, not because I'm trying to get out of answering the question, but so that you will have a chance to come back and push me on any of the questions that you've already asked, and that hopefully that will suit the audience.
Okay, I appreciate your being here. Thank you very much indeed. The questions that I'm going to ask now are pre-submitted. They're done in the order of popularity. In other words, how many people have actually asked them. This is designed to get rid of some of the most common questions that I know on your minds. Please then remember you have an hour to ask questions directly from the floor after that. We'll begin with this first question. Andrew, will the health services, which was the most common question asked, will the health services provided come from local Crowborough GP surgeries, and what will be the burden on local services?
So, as our system works, everybody in the local area will need to be registered with your local GP services. However, we do expect to provide the bulk of primary healthcare services on site.
Yeah, we'll come to those again. Please note those questions and ask them subsequently. I need to go through this list first. Will those seeking asylum be allowed to leave the camp and go wherever they wish?
Yes, so an asylum seeker or someone with a valid asylum claim is lawfully in the country, and as such, the accommodation that we provide has to be on a non-detained basis.
Okay.
That means that... Go on.
When you say they're lawfully in the country, there will be some people in this room who say they're not lawfully in the country. So, who makes that decision, and therefore where do they stand? Because your answer gave the fact that they are legally here and therefore allowed to go where they wish.
Yeah, so that's the law of the land as it has been for some time, not just with this government, but in predating governments as well.
Okay. Will there be an... I understand. Well, in which case it's a question you can put directly to them in about 20 minutes. Will there be an increased police presence in Crowborough? Will there be police officers permanently based in Crowborough when the camp opens?
So the key reason for talking to local police as we are now is to understand from them any support that they need to provide any additional resources that might be needed. If that's on and around the camp or in the town, that will be for a matter for them, but that's it precisely why we're talking to them as we speak.
The perimeter fence is long. This is another of the directly submitted questions. The perimeter fence is long. There are established tracks leading out of the camp and a housing estate adjacent to the camp. How will the site be secured and how will security be enforced?
So, linking back to your question at the start, the occupants of the site will need to be able to come and go as they please. They are checked in and out so that we have an understanding of where people are. As you said, the site will be secure, and we will have 24/7 security on site to manage the location. You may get onto this, but we will also be ensuring that, as well as the site being as self-sufficient as possible, we will ensure that occupants can move away from the site if they want to, so that their immediate egress isn't into the neighbourhood around. So if that requires transport to other parts of Wealden and the county, then that's what we will do to ensure that there isn't a significant effect on the surrounding roads.
Okay. I hear the reactions you have. Please make a note of them. Ask them directly when we come to the floor. The site has previously been assessed as unsuitable for housing asylum seekers. What assessment has been undertaken that means this has changed? Why is the site now deemed suitable?
So you'll be aware, so the obligation on the government is to ensure that all of our accommodation is safe, legal and compliant. That creates the framework that we use to assess whether it is suitable to be used, and covers everything from the state of the accommodation to the services, to the electrics, to the water. I understand that it was discounted under a previous government. I can't talk to why that decision was made, but to be clear, this government has legal obligations that it will need to meet.
This is also directly from the pre-submitted questions. Why was there no consultation with the local community from the Home Office, Hang on, let me ask the question. Why was there no consultation with the local community from the Home Office, Ministry of Defence, Wealden District Council or Crowborough Town Council?
So Mayor Whittle has already pointed to the apology I made on Monday morning, and I'd just like to extend that again. The responsibility for engaging with all partners listed in your question sits with the Home Office. We made a judgment about how best to do that at the right time. But again, I just want to say if we had our time again, we would extend that period of time where we could engage with you all.
So I can only ask questions that I've got pre-submitted. Then I'm sure you will have the option of doing so once we come to the floor, I promise you. Okay? I'm literally going through what has been pre-submitted. Then, sir, hold him to account when we come to the floor, and I will come to you. What assurance and guarantee do residents have that the site will only be used temporarily for 12 months?
So I can give you an absolute assurance that all of our planning is based on using the site for 12 months and 12 months only. That is predicated on the fact that the MOD have an ongoing need for it. In terms of a guarantee, that's not something that I have a mandate to do. That could only come from an elected minister. I work with direction ministers, but again, I repeat my assurance that all of our planning is for the use of just 12 months.
The site is in easy reach of local schools and the town. What plans are in place to safeguard all residents, but particularly vulnerable people, women and children?
So we have shown that we can run sites like this effectively and as self-sufficiently as possible. I've described the security of the site. I've described the hours that it will be secured by.
Let him speak and then hold him to account. Let him speak. There's no point in talking over him. I realise, and you have the opportunity, I promise you. Please just let him speak and you can hear what he has to say. And if you disagree with it, which you clearly do, then ask the questions directly to him. Please.
John, in the spirit of being helpful, I recognise that some of my answers may not sound credible or clear, but for anybody who is seeking to talk over me, I can't hear anybody. So it is literally futile because I can't hear the criticism. So I'm very glad to be criticised and challenged when you put the mic to the floor, but for the moment I can't hear those criticisms.
Can I ask you, why is the army camp not being converted into a secure detention centre to house what are illegal migrants?
So I've referred to my answer before. It is not lawful to detain people who come here to seek asylum. So the Home Secretary would not be in a lawful position if she attempted to do that.
Can I also ask what alternate provision has been made for the cadet troop and voluntary organisations who use the army camp?
So that we are in active discussion about that. I had a conversation with Wing Commander Montoura yesterday. Some of the team have had further conversations today. I am confident that there are perfectly sensible additional arrangements that we can make, that we would pay for, to keep the building outside of the perimeter viable. I completely recognise, however, that even if I and the leaders of the Sea and Air Cadets think it's viable, that the young people themselves, parents of those young people, will need to feel that that is viable as well. So we continue to have that discussion.
He can't hear you when you shout at him, but you will have a direct access very shortly. I need to ask this as well, because this is also an important question. Will a formal valuation impact report be provided quantifying the reduction in local property values and the reputational damage already inflicted, so that residents can pursue appropriate redress?
I can give you no encouragement that there will be redress for members of the community to the government for this approach.
Will Wealden District Council make any approach, James, on that score?
Yeah, I think it's a valid point into which we will have to look.
And is it something that you can take part in? Is it something you can push forward as a council?
My Chief Executive? I don't see why not.
Okay. I understand that Wealden District Council will be getting money for each asylum seeker that they accept in Crowborough. Andrew, can you tell us, will this money go to Crowborough as the town that's going to be impacted the most?
I'm just going to bring Lou in to give you an update about where we are on that. The funds that we make available will go to the District Council for them to spend as they deem suitable. But Lou, do you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, there is a framework through which the council will report the use of the monies to us, and for evaluation purposes we'll have to demonstrate that they fulfilled the eligibility conditions in supporting asylum seekers in their local authority. But just to confirm, this approach is consistent with the process and amounts payable for other forms of asylum accommodation, and there are also funding conversations happening concurrently with health and police as well.
Again, can I ask the Wealden District Council, either Rachel or James, will you ensure that this money is used in Crowborough, as this is the most impacted area?
Well, if we can, because I still do not understand how this money is dealt with. It has been explained to me that it is to pay for the services which the county council, and it's to pay.
There is no point in anyone talking over anybody else here, otherwise we cannot be heard. Work for a second, James. James, just wait for a second. I appreciate how high your passions are, but please let him be heard, and then you have the right of reply. It doesn't help to talk over him, please.
Okay, so my understanding of this money is that although it will be paid to Wealden District Council, we will have to reach agreements with the County Council and other agencies which are providing support to the camp, and therefore much of that money will go that way. Now, that's my current understanding. Like you, I keep asking the question, and at some point I'm sure we'll get the answer.
Okay. Personal insults aren't going to help anyone here either. So let's throw... Well, then there's your possibility of electing people, isn't there? So, why don't we, as I asked, this forum only works if we pay respect to the people who are actually answering the questions. If they are questions... If they are questions that you disagree with the answers, that is entirely your right to do so, but it doesn't help to shout and insult them, okay? We'll get nowhere with it. So, at this point, I think it's only fair. I can't help you, sir. If you're going to do that, pointing the fingers and standing is not going to help our situation here. Now, please listen to some of the answers of the questions that I know you want to put. I think at this point, sir, please sit down. That's about what I'm about to do, madam. So, if Mia and Jack, you have your microphones, and please choose one side of the room, and please put your hands up, and I'll come to you as quickly as I possibly can. Gentleman here in the check shirt who wanted to speak earlier on, I'll come to you first. Thank you, Jack. If you can just wait for the microphone to come, please do give us your name, sir.
My name is David.
Can we have the microphones on, please?
Hello?
Yeah, there you go.
Right, my name is David Swainsbury. I would like to know, and I want a specific answer to this from the Home Office, what assessments have been made of the impact and risks of housing 600 sexually frustrated, unvetted male immigrants who have shown that they have no regard for the laws of this country by breaking into it, and may come from cultures where women are not regarded as equals on a population of 22,000, where there's nothing to do other than wander the streets, and will represent over 8% of the male population. The second part of the question is, where else in the country have over 600 immigrants been housed in one place representing nearly 3% of the population, and what has the impact been on those areas with a high level of immigrants? And the third part, how is security in around the site going to protect the general population of the town when they are free to come and go as they please? And I would like you to answer those questions specifically, not wander around, okay? So specific answers.
Andrew, do you want to start with whether this has happened anywhere else and what the repercussions have been?
So the camp that you have referred to before in Wethersfield, about 20 minutes outside of Braintree, has been operating with around 800 people, 800 single adult men on site for about 18 months. Currently, the capacity is higher than that, and we believe with the contributions of local police, council and health services, we run it effectively. Let me try and pick up the other two. I think the first question was about how we're going to run it. I've mentioned it, it's got 24/7 security on site. We will have all of the services that we need to meet the needs of the individuals on site. That includes interactions with them that will pick up any behavioural or issues that may arise, or any cause for concern. That's why it's so crucial that we have not just policing colleagues involved, but local authority colleagues with social care expertise as well. Apologies, the final part of your question was?
So if you just tell me, I'll read it. Well, we take the microphone away so that we can hear what his answers are, sir. If you could repeat the third part of your question, sir.
Hello. The problem is, and I think this reflects the views of the whole of this room, he hasn't actually answered one of the questions that I've raised. We'll come to the third one. How is security in and around the site going to protect the general population of the town when they are free to come and go from the camp as they please? I don't answer that question.
So just as we've done in Wethersfield, as we did with the Bibby Stockholm, we ensured that we had the ability to transport occupants away from the immediate vicinity, that we had meaningful things for them to do on site, so that they weren't simply chipping into the local neighbourhood. We've shown that we can do that effectively, and I believe that we can do it effectively here as well.
Thank
Again, you haven't answered the question.
Andrew, the statement here is that you haven't answered the question.
Why are you
sir,
not here?
hang on. What more can you add to those to assure the people in this room that what you say is genuine and that there will not be the repercussions that the gentleman here is concerned about?
Facts. They're facts.
So, for every community where we run a site like this, there are local amenities, local centres, parks, schools in the vicinity, which other local residents would have just the same level of concerns. We've shown that by the way that we induct service users, the people who we have on site, the way that we work with police, the local authority and the voluntary community, we have shown that we can manage that effectively and minimise any risk. I completely get that that will not take away all of your concerns.
Do you read the news? Do you watch the news? Do you read the papers? Do you actually, have you, the amount of sexual assaults there have been, the amount of rapes there have been? How can you assure us that
Andrew,
it's going to be safe?
The concern here being expressed is what has been seen elsewhere on the news, which is of great concern to those people in this room. Can you add anything to that, please?
Of course, I pick up all of those concerns, and we see how the full system operates from where we are in the Home Office, and all of that interaction is shared with local authorities and police service up and down the country. The incidents that have been in the press over the last few weeks and months are horrific.
They are, yes.
They are a very, very small proportion compared to the overall population that we completely get why all of you will want absolute assurance that it isn't going to be repeated here.
It does not make it okay.
I completely take your point. The only point I would go back to again is the reason that the government wants to use more of these sites is that we believe that with the additional security, with the additional on-site services that we can provide, those sorts of horrific incidences can be better avoided and picked up.
There is no additional security. They can come and go from the site as they please. There is no security for the population of Crowborough.
Okay. You are wrong in that there is more security and provision of services provided on these sites than there are at an equivalent hotel.
So that is the answer you're going to get. So I know you can follow it up and elsewhere. If we persist with one person, we won't hear of the other voices in the room.
Can I just ask
so gentleman at the front there in the T-shirt, and I'll come to you, sir, behind next.
Right, my name's Sean Garner. I'm not, well, yeah, I've got a loud voice because I sing in the All Saints Church Choir, which is not represented in any way here tonight. I want a clear answer from every individual involved here. And I'd love to start with Rachel, if that'd be so bold. Is the welfare of the people of this country more important or less important than these individuals that have come in here illegally or legally? There's a debate, okay. But because I think it's important we all know, so then going forward, we can make our decisions when we vote. In the local elections, which have been deferred because of Nigel, don't know why, he'll win it. And I think it's really clear that we understand who you are, who you represent, so then we can make the informed choices going forward to then make this country better, because it is open borders like this, we'll end up in a minority, and we all know, you look at my wife's half Iranian, I know very well what goes on in countries like that. And it's a concern. And then not only that, but I'm not saying that, I'm talking about a specific religion. And some of my favourite politicians are actually Muslim, like Nosgani.
So can we have a question from you, please, sir?
I have.
So we'll repeat it and make sure the person you want to answer answers it.
And, well, I just want to know from each individual whether you think we are less important than these people coming into this country who we don't know who they are, because so then we can understand how we vote going forward.
I hear the question. Why are the priorities of those people being placed in the asylum more important than those who are resident here?
Certainly not. Certainly not.
Do you want to hear an answer? Then please let her answer.
No.
So the question was, are people coming from other places more important than people who live here? Clearly not. Do I think, the underlying question is, do I think this kind of accommodation for asylum seekers is a good idea? No, I don't. Do I think that it's great for communities? No. Do I think it's great for asylum seekers? No. I don't think this is the right solution for the well-being of all those people. This wasn't meant to be a political meeting. If you want me to talk about my political perspective on but that's a very different...
That's not where we're going to go with this. And I'll tell you why. And the reason is, this is your opportunity to talk directly to the Home Office. Whether you feel they're answering your questions or not is another matter. Or I hear you, sir. But there's a rare opportunity to talk directly to the Home Office, also for the town council members who don't necessarily get that opportunity and don't have that direct channel. You have that direct channel now, and much as I appreciate your question, sir, to Rachel, I would like to have some questions directly to Andrew and Lisa, who are waiting to take them. I said I was going to go to the gentleman over there next. I'll come to you, sir, after that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jack?
That's my bad side, so can we switch over to the other side? No, this question for the Home Office. Well, maybe it's a clarification, so I'm going to use the full 155 that I've got left. So the process, as I understand it, for people coming into this country is that there's no formal process, hence why they're all jumping on dinghies and making their way over that way. They turn up probably almost always without documentation or any proof of ID. They then get put into this system and landing in places like this is proposed to be. And then we say, who are you? And they give us a name and we go, yeah, okay, that's good enough for us. Let's take your fingerprint and get on with things. So essentially we're trusting their word as they come in. They then go into this camp and then they say, oh, I fancy a day trip out, and we check them out and then they disappear. Or, more likely, they jump over the fence that's about 1 foot high in most places with a small amount of barbed wire, disappear without telling you. You've got no idea where they are, who they are, or where they go. And then when they don't return, you call them on the phone they didn't turn up with to find out where they are, or send them an email on the email address that they've given you that doesn't bounce to anywhere. And at which point they're essentially roaming completely free with no tracking.
So please ask your question directly.
I've got 39 seconds, as you said at the beginning, to finish. So please let me finish my point.
2 minutes is very long.
And I'll take another 10 seconds for your interruption, sir. Right, so just to follow on from that point, they're essentially inside the asylum system waiting to be told if they're good or not. And if they say, no, you're not good, and they've done a runner, and you've got no way of contacting them, they're essentially in the not in the system anymore, probably with fake IDs and fake identities anywhere, running amok in the entire country. There's no way to track them. And as we've seen here, there's large amounts of people, and I'm sure they're not all coming in here for bad reasons, but those who would take this opportunity and run riot. I said I'll take an extra 10 seconds for your interruption.
You did. You've been given an extra 10
right,
seconds.
And I will
my job here is not to silence you, but to allow as many people as possible to answer. So please answer your question.
Does everyone like to hear the answer to my question? Right. So can someone confirm if that in fact is the system as we understand it? Because I sat for a 4-hour meeting the other day listening to it, and that's all the information that I gathered. Thank you very much.
John, I'm going to go quickly in bullet point form to try and cover every point that I think it was Jack made. So, if someone arrives seeking asylum via a small boat, there's a range of tools that we have to verify and monitor an individual who's arrived. That includes biometric checks, fingerprinting, official documentation, and a detailed asylum interview at the point when they arrive. So at the point where any individual comes into any of our accommodation, whether it's a hotel or a camp like Crowborough, those checks will have been done. I used the phrase earlier, lawfully present in the United Kingdom with a valid pending asylum claim. To have a valid pending asylum claim, you have to have a physical and digital relationship with the Home Office for that case to be considered. So if an individual wants to have that case considered, they have to be in contact with us. If an individual leaves the camp, they sign in and sign out. If they are away for more than 7 days in a 7 consecutive days or 14 days in a 6-month period, then their right to accommodation support is reconsidered or challenged. If they fail to comply with those expectations, then go back to my point, then their valid claim could be ceased, and they would then be illegally in the country, unlawfully in the country.
And the claim being that you don't know where they are or indeed how to monitor them subsequently. How does that work, Andrew?
So if the individual breaks those conditions and ceases to engage in a way which we expect if we want their claim to be considered, if they seek to go into the black economy or anything like that, then they are unlawfully here. They are subject to potential detention and removal.
Okay, thank you for the question, thank you for the answer. Gentleman down there. So the gentleman, sorry, it's the gentleman in the green jacket.
He just handed the mic to myself.
I will do my best, sir, but the answer is the one that you have got. And there are other ways that you can pursue the answers as well. But if he's not going to answer the question earlier, there is nothing further I can do. Sir.
Hello, yeah, hi.
The gentleman in the green is who I promised the microphone to, if you'd be so kind. Thank you.
Right. I'm a local lad, and it took the government for one of the Irish soldiers to be dragged from the army camp all the way up Beacon Road before they'd done anything about the security in that army camp. So why can't you, as a government, put gates on that army camp and keep them in there when they're here? Why have they got a ticket to get on a bus? Why have they got a free phone? Why are we giving them money? If I'd done something illegal abroad, I would just get chucked in the biggest shithole and forgotten about. Look at those people at Forest Row. They've been out there, 18 months, and you as a government haven't done naff all about them. Have you? We got armed forces people that are all along that coast that are living rough. You've got an empty poxy army camp. Why couldn't you put them in there? No? Why? Because you're going to put up these foreigners, which are a shower of shit.
Okay. Let me answer. Let Andrew answer the question, and you can hear from him directly. Andrew.
So the law of this land means that the government, through the Home Secretary, is under a duty to ensure that people that seek asylum lawfully are not destitute. That is the legal basis upon which, if they are destitute, they need to be given accommodation and some element of financial support. I can't lock them in because that also would be illegal.
So hopefully that answers Sir next.
Yeah, hello. My name's Peter Eisted. I'm a local father and grandfather who's been in the Crowborough for 62 years and paid my taxes for 45. I'm here because I'm extremely worried about my children and my grandchildren. I want to focus on how we stop this from happening, so I've got two questions for you. Is the discovery of Legionella within the water systems in Crowborough training camp going to delay the arrival of the migrants to the camp? And have any of the workers at the camp shown any symptoms of Legionnaire's disease? Because I'm told under good authority that this is the case, that is down there, and portaloos, etc., are actually in place. That's one question, if I could have an answer.
Can we ask that question? I'll come back to you for the second, I promise. Andrew, can you answer that one, please?
Yeah, water testing for things like Legionella is a core part of the safe, compliant and legal test. Those tests are being carried out and any risk is being removed before we go live.
Sir, part two.
Part two is you expressed your wishes or your thoughts that the planning is just for 12 months only, but again, from good authority, I have it that the electricity system isn't sufficient down there, and there's going to be a requirement of £1.5 million needs to be spent to upgrade the power system to cater for the kitchens within the camp. So why would you be spending that sort of money if it's just for 12 months?
So we will ensure that the electricity and all the services are adequate to make sure that it's safe, legal, and
Wait,
compliant.
Andrew, just wait for a second because we didn't hear the answer.
Sorry.
So please, just wait. It's important to hear the answer as well. Sir, Andrew.
The reason we would spend the money necessary to bring the services up to the levels that they need for that number of occupants is to make sure it is safe, legal, and compliant.
But will that be is that money worth spending for 12 months is the question?
The government considers, yes, that it is worth that money spending it.
Okay.
And my final...
Briefly, if you have one final point, because I must move on to get as many voices in as possible.
My final
I hear you,
question
sir.
was the Convention on the Rights of Children comprises four main pillars: the right to survival, the right for protection, the right for development, and the right for participation. These rights are based on the non-discrimination principle, and all actions must be in line with the best interests for our children, and that's our local children, but also of the cadets. And they are going to be stopped from participating in activities at the Crowborough training camp. And how is this in the best interest for our children?
Andrew?
So sorry. Did you finish, Peter?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
How is any of this in the best interest of our children?
So we're doing everything we can to find a way of continuing the Sea and Air Cadets unaffected. I described some of the discussions we've had before. We don't have an agreed solution yet because the Sea and Air Cadet leaders are thinking about what they would ideally need. We will fund anything that would require to keep that. As I said earlier, I completely get that as a parent that the parents of those Sea and Air Cadets will want to feel that is safe and viable as beyond my assurances. And if that means that alternative venues need to be found, then we would fund that as well.
Thank you for the question. I'm going to go to the lady at the back first, Mia, if you wouldn't mind, who has the scarf on. And sir, just in case you think I'm obscured from the television, I'll come to you next, and then I'll come to the lady at the front.
Good evening.
Yes, well, put your arm down, it's arrested. So please, carry on.
My name is Samantha Cheeseman. I'm just a normal parent. What I would like to know, and this is open to everybody, I've got two children, one primary, one secondary. A lot of these illegal immigrants, whatever they choose to be called, will lie about their age. My children are scared that they're going to turn up at their school for English lessons and so on.
Andrew?
No asylum seeker will be given any additional services in any school.
All right, thank you, Samantha. There are questions coming in online. If you are watching online and you have yet to submit them, please do so. I have a couple of that are coming here. Jack, if you can get the gentleman here in the cap, the microphone. While that is happening, I will ask this one, Andrew, that's come in online. The camp you have just referred to has been active for 18 months. Was the planning for this site 12 months to begin with as well?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Sorry, did you want me to come in on that question now?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind. That's an online question that's been posed.
So if the question is, have we been planning for this for 12 months? No.
But was the previous example you gave, which has been active now for 18 months, did you plan that for 12 months?
I can't remember how long we planned for, but the key difference with Wethersfield is that we intend to be there for 3 years. We've been there we're there until 2027 under our current planning cover.
Okay. Gentleman at the front.
What? Is that? Yeah.
Yep, it's on.
I'm Nick Jones. I've lived here now for 26 years. I did my parachute regiment training down at this camp in 1982. I want to know, how can we have any trust in this government or yourselves when we've all seen the videos of the Black Rock lorry picking up inflatable boats and taking them back to Calais? So how can we have any faith in anything you're saying?
Andrew?
My expertise is about asylum accommodation. There's a limit to
You need
it.
to do some more research then.
Well,
I would point out that Andrew is a civil servant rather than a member of the government, but yes, I understand your
He's
question.
representing them.
Lady just here who had her hand up, and can I just see a show of hands of who else wants to ask questions? Okay, the gentleman standing next, you're next, who will come to next in the green shirt. Thank you. Andrew, this is the next question.
Okay, I'm a mum of 5 and I've lived here 25 years. What I want to know is what health checks are being done prior to them coming here, because there's a lot of talk about them having tuberculosis.
Describe the health checks that are undertaken when they first arrive. Further health checks will be done on site. That's key to why we have the primary healthcare services on site, so that can be managed there. All of our sites like this are built and designed in a way where any thing like TB or any other communicable disease can be managed on site in an appropriate way. That your public health team in the county council are in effect the regulatory body there, so will advise us on how we do that.
But they're out in the community with everybody and people who are recovering from cancer and vulnerable children with health conditions.
Yeah, and if any of those sorts of conditions are identified, we would engage with those individuals just as way as we would with any other member of the community, and in terms of advising them to stay isolated, to stay on site, and to not engage with any other vulnerable members of the community.
Okay, so
We
is it a
appreciate
yes
the
or
question.
no?
I need to move on. Can I go to the gentleman in the green?
I have
Thank
one
you
more
very much
question.
indeed. No, I need to go to the gentleman in
I
the green.
haven't had my 2 minutes.
It's the answer you're going to get, madam, and if you wish to pursue it more directly, then there are other avenues you can.
Second question I have
Sir, can I just...
is, are the schools going to get the same protection as the camp?
We won't be putting fencing around the school or putting security guards on them, if that's the question, no.
Gentleman in the green, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I've been to 3 meetings now and 1 protest march, and I've heard absolutely nothing which reassures me at all that there's any degree of safety for anyone, men, women and children of this town. It's a ruinous plan which will sully Crowborough indefinitely. But moving on to my question, and it's safety and well-being. A pro-migration refugee support group, Conversation Over Borders, have said housing people in military sites risked human rights failures, could waste taxpayers' money, and risked isolating and traumatising all over again. If these men are genuinely asylum seekers rather than economic migrants and have fled war and persecution, how will being housed on a military site not exacerbate their trauma? What level of mental health support will be provided? This is a particular concern as many horrendous crimes, the Southport and Nottingham University attacks to name but 2, have been attributable to mental health issues. How will our community be protected from the likely substantive number of men roaming the town who are coping with serious mental health issues and the risks arising from any interactions with what will be an alien to them local population? If they are to be given appropriate mental health support, how will that be counterbalanced with a mental health provision lacking for the wider population, and especially the people of Crowborough, whose mental health has seriously declined since this plan was leaked?
So we don't house any asylum seeker on a military camp if they're deemed not to be fit to be there, for all of the reasons that you alluded to, for all the traumatic situations that some may have been through. we will seek to identify those issues, and we would not accommodate them on a camp of this size.
So, well, I hear the answer, Andrew. Can I push you further? Well, that doesn't help, sir.
Sorry, and so I think the other part of the question was about the fairness of the services we provide to asylum seekers compared to the services available to members of the public.
Yeah, so again, I can't have you standing, or rather sitting there. I can't. Well, hopefully we can have a conversation now. Andrew, further to that, some of the examples you gave weren't necessarily asylum seekers, but how do you check on people given that there have been so many examples where there have been breaches of the policy that you put forward?
Are you talking about criminal
I'm talking of the problems that those people who have been put in these areas, mostly hotels at this point, but there have been cases, subsequent criminal cases and prosecutions, as a result of some of these people being checked, being looked after, and afterwards you then find that they're not the people you think they are.
So anybody that provides false information will damage their ability, if not end their ability, to seek asylum, and they could be subject to detention and then deportation. For our work with the police whilst people are on the camp, alongside the ongoing asylum claim, is critical to ensuring that their asylum claim is genuine and that they act and behave in a way which is according to the country's laws and values in the meantime.
I think, do you want me, just to come in on that point as well, we've got a Home Office assurance team on site as well as wellbeing officers to ensure that those safeguarding standards are adhered to. And we've got ongoing welfare checks and those initial assessments that are completed at Manston to help make sure that we have the most appropriate people housed in these kinds of sites. We'll also work constantly with health colleagues as well.
There's a couple of questions that have come in online that I think are important to answer as well. This one asks, Andrew, why not impose a curfew? Why are people free to roam at all hours of the day and night?
A curfew would be a form of detention.
Well, which you've already said, Andrew, is not within the government's remit to do. When does the Home Office intend to notify Wealden District Council with its decision to proceed or not to proceed?
So we don't have a specific go-live date at the moment. We'll continue to talk to the local authority and the police about how we approach a go-live date in a way which is least disruptive to local residents as possible. The last thing that we want is to go live and make it impossible for local residents to go about their daily business. But the specific way we do that, we'll agree with the council.
Okay. Jack, there's a gentleman who's had his hand up for a long time in the blue there, if we can take that. I'll come to the gentleman in the green, I know, who's been waiting for a long time as well. After that, Mia, if you could. Hello, this lady in the stripy, I'll come to you next, okay? So gentleman in the blue,
Hello,
please.
yeah, my name's Ben, local resident and parent. I just wanted to know, how are we going to make sure that our children can enjoy their freedom when there are 600 unvetted young men wandering around the town? Many children are walking to school. How are schools now going to cope with the fact that the majority of these children are going to be driven to school? How are parents going to be confident to allow their children to go to local parks, into the town, and enjoy their childhood and their freedom?
So,
Andrew?
So as part of the way that we induct any occupant onto the camp and part of the way that we manage the activities that they do and where they go to, we will try and ensure that when they are off-site, they go to places which are not going to be damaging to where any member of the community, let alone young people, want to go to. So we have all of the people that we need to be very clear with asylum seekers where they should and should not go. I completely get that I do not have the ability to restrict where they go, but we have shown in Napier Camp, in Folkestone and in Wethersfield where we can be effective in being very clear about where they should and should not go and how they should behave when they are there.
Okay, a gentleman in the middle who I originally pointed out in the green shirt, and then we'll come to the lady in the stripy jumper.
Hello, I'm Simon, a dad of 4. With the £1.5 million you've committed to go to the services in the camp, and furthermore into further drainage, accommodation, making their time a lot easier for them because they really deserve it. Could you contract up with Wealden with the amount you're spending and giving Wealden per head to accommodate a guard per school to patrol? You're only talking about 40, 50 grand a year. If it's only for 12 months, and if you're going to reoccur it 12 months later, just keep the ball rolling. It's purely for peace of mind for us parents. And also, are you a parent yourself, and how would you feel in our situation? And what would you do?
I'm a parent. If something like this was happening in my neighbourhood, I would be holding someone in my seat to account to make sure that what they were doing was lawful, appropriate, and I would be sitting alongside you, I'm sure. We talked about the funding that the government will make available to Wealden District Council. Talked about the support we'll give the local police. I hope that would give Wealden Council and some resources to give you the support that you need and the security, things that would make you feel more comfortable in the schools and other areas of the community. But I'm sure that won't extend to the specific description that you've just given.
Thank you. The lady in the stripy jumper.
Could I just address the Wethersfield thing? You said initially that it was only open for a year. The site is now open until at least 2027. That's out there in the public, so we know that. Firstly, you keep talking about Wethersfield. Can you explain why the Wethersfield Parish Council have put out a no confidence in the Home Office? Secondly, I'm on the understanding that Wethersfield are using private security and they're self-employed. And when something didn't go quite right, or I'm not sure what the reason behind it was, but something didn't go right, they all walked out, and then you had a security problem with the site. Is that going to happen at Crowborough? Are they going to be self-employed? And thirdly, the lack of police presence at these meetings does concern me. Sussex Police have been in special measures, and they only have a crime rate of investigation. They only get a success rate of 1 in 5, so that doesn't fill us with much confidence in how they're going to deal with policing Crowborough.
I can't talk for the police, but I can talk about Wethersfield. Wethersfield is owned by the Home Office, and we have what's called a special development order in place to legally occupy that for the purpose of asylum for 3 years, which takes up to 2027. So the ownership model is different. There is no other party coming back in to use that site, and at the point where the Home Office finishes, does not need it for that purpose, it would be sold on the open market. The parish council of Wethersfield, as with other parish councils and district councillors, have been very effective in holding us to account and challenging us throughout the period of time that we've been used. We've been there, and they will continue to do that, I'm sure. The Wethersfield is operated on behalf of the Home Office by a company called Clear Springs Ready Homes, and we expect this to be the same provider as well. the security is the responsibility of that provider, but they are accountable to the Home Office, as Anne Lou has already said as well. There is an accountable Home Office person in charge of each of these sites to ensure that it is run in the way that we expect it to be.
Thank you very much, indeed. I'll come to a question at the back, if I may, and then I'll come to the gentleman at the front next.
Hello, good evening. My name's William Penfold. My family's been in this town for over 200 years. Nothing like this has ever happened. Last week at Beacon, they held an assembly and they told the children to be kind and caring to the immigrants coming, illegal immigrants. What's all that about? Wasn't we raised to be careful of strangers? Was we not? And are they expecting us, our children, to talk to them? This is completely wrong. They shouldn't be outside the schools if they are there, and if they are there, the police need to take them away. And another thing I would like to see, them with a tag on their ankle. Keep track of them.
Andrew, is there any reason why you cannot tag those people who are in the camp?
To the best of my knowledge, it would not be legal to tag them. If I am wrong on that, then I will correct that, but that's my best understanding. We will make sure through the people that run the camp, the way that we talk to them, we will be absolutely specific with occupants about where they should and should not go. And if any concerns are raised by members of the community, by schools, we will act on it, and we will make sure that they do not congregate in those areas.
Thank you for the question. We'll come to the gentleman at the front in just a second. While you're doing that, I'm just going to ask this, it's another online question. If you're watching online, please do pose your questions. They come direct through to us. Andrew, Braintree was used as an example of a similar facility working well. This is not in any way comparable to Crowborough, as Braintree is close to double the population size. Why the need for such a large number of asylum seekers to be housed in such a sparsely populated area with none of the urban facilities that other sites boast? And have you taken this disparity between the previous examples you've spoken about and Crowborough into account?
Yes, I believe we have. So there are 3 similar sites that we have operated. Wethersfield is still operating. Napier Camp in Folkestone is a more urban area than Wethersfield. Wethersfield is 20 minutes from Braintree. The immediate vicinity is 2 or 3 very small villages. The Bibby Stockholm was again a very different situation in that obviously that was a barge where occupants needed to be transported away from the port into other urban areas. So there are different styles of larger site accommodation that we have operated, and we believe have operated effectively. It's absolutely true that every parish, town and district and county council has challenged us strongly on how we have run them. Yes, so the urban element is exactly why we try to make these sites self-contained, so that the vast majority of the needs of the occupants, they can stay on site for the duration of their stay. So, and we can adapt that model depending on whether it's a rural or urban area.
They can, but they tend not to.
What do you mean they tend not to?
Well, again, from what we've seen elsewhere, is while you might make the facilities self-contained for them to do so, they have the option of leaving at any point that they want and going anywhere within the town. So I don't quite follow your argument on that sense.
But so I can't restrict where they go, but of the camps that I have mentioned, we have demonstrated that we can provide the activities that they need to keep them for the majority of the time on that camp. And when we use transport services to move people away from the camp so that they are not walking into the nearest high street, we can plan that transport so that they go to different urban areas on different occasions so that the effect is more manageable. I can completely get that the effect will still be noticeable.
That ties in with another online question. What meaningful activities will be available at the camp for the asylum seekers? What do you ask them to do to spend their time?
So there'll be a... Go on, Luke.
No, I was just going to say, we bring in kind of voluntary sector support, faith groups. There's varying activities that we can put on at the site, but the whole thing is to try and make that site as self-sufficient as possible by having the right activities, transport where required, and just making sure that there is enough to keep people on site as often as we possibly can.
So a gentleman wants to know some examples. Can you give some?
Yes, sport. We may well put on, there was a question earlier about English language. On most of our sites, we will have English language provision, which is an important part of not just ensuring that they can integrate in the community whilst their claim is being decided, but for those that are granted, it is an important part of their integration going forward. We'll ensure that they have access to faith, and I think we can probably give other examples too, if helpful.
Okay, thank you for waiting, sir. Sorry, can we have the microphone on at the front here? It's Mia's mic. Go for it.
Hello. Yeah. What I say, I've sat here in 2 meetings now, and all I seem to be hearing is what you're going to do for them, all the time. There's nothing. They're getting games. They're getting in the. They're allowed out. We're not allowed in their camp, so we're being kept out of the camp. So we're actually being kept out of the camp. We're not allowed in the camp. So why is that then? Because at the end of the day, you're saying we can't restrict them in the camp, but you're restricting us to not go. So you're restricting us in a bigger area, but not letting us to go in the camp. They're getting sports. They're getting taught English, heating, food, drinks, everything. I haven't heard anything you're doing for us, for the kids. I haven't heard anything you're doing for the army camps. Nothing. All it is about what you're going to do for the people in that camp. We're paying for them. It's 600 people, 600 men, not women, just men. If it was women and families, we could probably look at it and look at it a different way. But when you're saying 600 men are coming into a community of 20,000 and you think honestly that you can control it, that's a load of rubbish. You can't control it at all. You're letting them come out. You're going to give them sports facilities. They're still going to come out. They're going to hang around Crowborough. They're going to go to Uckfield. My granddaughter goes past that site twice a day. My daughter goes past 4 times a day. So she's going to be on her own coming back. It parks right outside the camp. Are we going to have people on the buses to look after my daughter and my granddaughter when they go to school? Because all I'm hearing is all these children have got to be looked after. Their mums are going to say, well, we're going to have to walk you to school. They're going to be caused anxiety for kids who are 6 and 8 who walk free at the moment. They're not going to be able to walk free whenever you do this. And you're going to do it. This is all publicity which you are going to do. You are 100% going to put 600 people in that camp. You're doing the toilets. You wouldn't be doing all this if it wasn't agreed. So you're going round and round in circles just trying to make us feel happy. We're not happy. We don't want it. And you're still happy to do it. It's a joke. And it's a joke. Absolute joke.
Andrew, is there anyone in government who is turning around and saying, as well as the asylum seekers' needs, we need to look after the local population? This appears to be very one-sided on the point of view of almost every single person in this room.
So the government has a set of responsibilities for asylum seekers and has a much wider set of responsibilities for all of
Andrew,
the
Andrew, wait. I know you want to tell him how disappointed you are, but please let him answer and then we can continue the conversation. If you shout over his answers, nobody can hear them. We're doing our best to hold him to account as we can, but the answers are the ones you're going to get. So I hear you. Andrew, can you please answer that question for us?
No. I work for the Home Office in this particular area. But the decisions that the government is making about how to accommodate asylum seekers are decisions about that the government, this isn't just the Home Office, is a whole government policy that they are implementing. And absolutely, that they will reflect that in how schools are run, how councils are supported, and health services are running. I completely understand why the level of frustration and concern is as it is, but the government believes that this is an approach which can be aligned to everything else it does through the public service.
Okay. For this point, we've got very little time left. We've got about 20 minutes worth of questions. I appreciate hands being held up. I can see some people feeling the strain of holding their hands up. So I'm going to ask you to put your hands up when we come to a point of my saying, please, can we have the hands up? There's a gentleman in the grey who's been waiting. Can we come to you next, please? And I see a gentleman over there with the beard and a gentleman in the grey. I'll come to you next, okay? Jack, so if you can prepare for the gentleman with the beard. The gentleman in the grey has been patiently waiting and supporting his arm because he's been waiting there for a long time. And the microphone is on, sir.
Hello, my name's Stephen. You mentioned at the scrutiny meeting on Monday that you failed to consult with this community. So when are you going to actually stop what you're doing, consult with the community, then make up your mind?
Andrew, did you hear that?
I heard the question. Sorry, couldn't tell where I was trying to talk over applause. We'll do as much engagement as we can about our intent to go live. I've said before there are legal and safeguarding things that need to be done before that we can go live, and we'll make as good use of that time in talking to local partners as we can.
The point being made in this room is that engagement is different from consultation.
I completely agree.
So when are you going to consult?
So the government has to make a bunch of decisions about how it runs a national system. It will engage as much as it can on these, but the ultimate decision will lie with the government through the Home Secretary.
Okay, I'm going to come to the gentleman with the beard.
Good evening.
And again, can we have Jack's microphone, please? It's on.
Good evening. My name's David. I support a lot of the questions that are happening here in the community. I've been in Crowborough. We've lived with a family for 40 years. It's a wonderful place, a caring community, and this group are wanting to do the best for everyone. I'm absolutely confident of it. My question touches on the legalities of what you're doing. Because I have, and I'm speaking for myself, and I'd like some clarity, please. I hear mixed messages regarding the legality of these asylum seekers. And the understanding that I may or may be right on, or wrong on, is that under international law, a migrant has to claim an asylum in the first safe country. Now, so that you are not held personally accountable under the legal misrepresentation of what an illegal asylum is, could the Home Office please clarify, do these people under international law need to claim asylum in the first safe country they land? And if they do, why are we taking on board that responsibility?
So I think the government is absolutely clear that it is meeting its legal obligations in considering a claim made in this country, regardless of whether they have travelled through a safe country previously. If I attempted to give you the accurate wording of that, of the basis upon that, then I'll mangle it. So we will make sure and add that into the fact sheets that we provide you with.
There was a gentleman further back who I spoke to then, grey jumper, Mia, and could you get a microphone to Karen here?
Hello. Hi. My name's Lee. I've only been in Crowborough 11 years. I live right next to the camp. What I'm concerned about and what I want to understand from you is these sports and events you're going to provide on site. What are you going to do to minimise the noise disruption to people who live right next to the camp when these are going on? I've got another question, but I'll let you answer that one first.
Thank you. Andrew, what are you going to do to minimise the noise and disturbance for those who are living next to the camp?
If we provide any activities or services that are disruptive to neighbouring people, and there are issues raised about that, then they'll be dealt with. So if they won't be happening outside of normal hours. That's exactly the sorts of things that we will make sure that we can get feedback from neighbouring communities to the people that operate the camp, so that can be dealt with as we would in any other setting.
Okay, so it's wait until it happens.
And your second question, sir?
Sorry, so my second question is, will you publish exactly what security arrangements, i.e. processes, how many people, the entry and exit criteria, all these details around how you're securing that site to the community? And will you publish all the healthcare, the numbers of people, the ratio of medics, doctors, mental health people to the community as well?
Will you publish those details, Andrew?
Not all. Well, so I don't believe that we would, as an example, publish the details of how the site is kept secure, because that would enable people to damage the site. In terms of the costs that other partners put into it, all of that detail will be published as part of the normal reporting process that any public organisation would have. So the Home Office has to report the amount of money we put into the health service, into policing, as part of our reporting to Parliament. In terms of how we describe that to local partners, we will make sure that we're providing enough information so that you understand how it. I'll give you an example of the county council is the regulatory partner that we have for any safeguarding issues. So the county council will have to understand how we ensure that we are picking up any of the needs of the community. So we will have to provide the sorts of detail that describe how those services run on the camp.
Can I come to Karen next, please?
So my second question to that is the
Sorry,
council...
sir, can I need to... We've had two questions from you, and I know, we appreciate that. We've got about 15 minutes to get about 20 questions in, which we're not going to do. Karen.
Thank you. Sorry. Hello, I'm Karen Bedwell. I'm actually Upfield's town mayor. Whilst we're obviously here to discuss the effects of the proposed arrangements in Crowborough, on behalf of the surrounding parishes, I'd like to ask the Home Office why we haven't been included in any of the discussions, engagement or consultations. You talk about busing some of the refugees out to other parishes. Well, Upfield is the next largest town. We are on the bus routes, the train routes. We have a history of antisocial behaviour issues between Crowborough and Upfield, with youth travelling between the two towns. Our residents are also very concerned about how you're going to police the buses, the trains, the movement of the asylum seekers, not just for the safety of the residents, but also for the safety of those travelling on the buses and the trains. We've had no engagement with you, with Wealden, and I'm only here tonight out of the kindness of Crowborough Town Mayor inviting me. So we are literally learning about this off of social media and picking up little bits as we go. If this is to be discussed throughout Wealden, you need to include the larger towns, the smaller parishes, because all of us will be affected through roadways, travel, and now you're saying you're busing them out. So please, can you engage with us as well?
Yes, we will. I just want to underline that the primary responsibility for engaging with people in Uckfield is with us. That's not on Wealden Council. That I'm sure they will help us to do that. I'm sorry that you and your residents haven't had a chance to engage with us yet on things like how we manage the transportation of asylum seekers out of the camp and back to. This is exactly the sort something that we will directly talk to you about for all the reasons that you've described.
Thank you, Karen. Gentleman in the grey, and then we'll come to the gentleman with your hand up next to him, and then Jack, can we come to the two ladies at the back? Sir first.
Yeah. How do you plan to meet the sexual needs of 600 men?
Andrew, did you hear the question?
Yeah, I said I don't.
Okay. Gentleman in the black.
Thank you very much. Is it working?
Yes.
Yeah. So many of you will know who I am. I'm not sitting up on the stage. I'm a Wealden District Councillor. I've been to every single public meeting that this town has held, and I know that this town has been reported in the press as being divided. Can we just have a show of hands and some noise in this room to prove that we are not divided about this issue? And whilst I am here today on my own recognizance, I will reiterate what I told you on Monday, Mr. Lauter. This is a disgrace. The Home Office have failed this community. You have put us at risk, and I am appalled. Just today, there was 3 people in Lewis Crown Court, all of whom were part of your asylum programme, and they brutally raped a woman on Brighton Beach on October the 4th. I do not want that in Crowborough, and I want your assurance that you'll take personal responsibility for anything that happens in this town as a result of what you're doing.
Andrew, it's cases like that that leave the argument you put forward as a very difficult one to uphold, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I'm grateful to the way that Councillor Wilson conducted the scrutiny committee on Monday. He knows full well that I'm working for an elected government. If he wants someone to be held personally accountable, then he should reflect on his own remarks about putting that on me.
Okay, lady at the back. Lady at the back, please.
Sorry. A lot of people in Crowborough are very familiar with a very emotive song. I doubt people on screen have actually heard it, but there's a reference to decision-making being done over the phone. Have any of you actually come down here? You've made reference to sea cadets and air cadets. There are no sea cadets on that camp. They're army cadets and air cadets. And my son is an air cadet. When the Afghans were on site, security was already increased. It has now been tripled, and they're already talking about the cadets not being able to continue on squadron.
Andrew?
I visited the site. If I have inaccurately talked about sea cadets, then apologies, but from my discussion with Wing Commander Montora, he was clear that there was air cadets and sea cadets and army cadets there.
And the lady next door. Oh, you're okay? Okay, thank you. Then we'll come to the gentleman who's had his hand up for a long time. Mayor, if you can pass it to the gentleman in the T-shirt, or the polo shirt, beg your pardon.
Hi, I have 2 questions, please.
So ask them individually, if you would, please.
Yeah, okay. The first one being, my understanding is that this is a proposal for consultation, yet the terminology, the words you're using, it sounds very much like a done deal. You're talking about when you're going to make the go-live date, not if. I want to understand, if it's not a done deal, why are you down there doing building work already? My second question... Oh,
sorry, yeah, we can ask that
you
first.
Go for it. So the government's intention is to use the site, and it believes it can do so legally and provide safe and compliant accommodation. But there are works that need to be done to ensure that it is safely compliant. But its intention is to use that site.
Okay. I would like to understand, and this is directed at you, Andrew, I'd like to understand just how you would feel if you were in our situation and you were seeing your community in the 2 weeks since the announcement change. We're hearing estate agents worried about cancelled house sales. The place is changing, and we're all concerned that you're going to just ram raid this proposal through because you're part of a government that wants it to happen, not because it's the best thing to do for either us or the asylum seekers, if that's what they are. So how would you feel? Tell me.
I'm a public servant.
No. How would you feel as an individual?
Well, I think Andrew's already expressed that in one of the questions earlier,
So
but
there are
let
two
him
parts to
answer.
your question. If you want me to answer both parts of your question, don't talk over me. Can I answer? I'll answer.
Help, sir.
I'm a public servant that works for the elected government, and therefore it is my job to implement the government's policy. I've already said to a former question, if I was in your community, I would be sat in alongside you, holding the government to account.
We have time for probably 2 more questions, if that's all right. I'll come to the lady who's been waiting there. Jack, if you have a moment. And if you have, who has a question that is not... Hang on, sir. Or in which case I'll come to the lady there. Is there anybody who has a question that has not yet been asked? Okay. Let's deal with these first 2 ones. The lady here first.
Knowing how strapped the NHS is, are all these illegal immigrants going to be taking up hospital appointments, consultant appointments, because you're not going to have the professors, etc., actually at the army camp? So where are they going to be going for cancer or for treatment? They're going to be going to our hospitals, and there's the likes of us that have got 8 to 10 month waiting lists to even see a consultant.
This was along the lines of the most popular question that was asked that we posed at the beginning, but Andrew, if you can reiterate that, please. The burden on local services, in particular health services.
Well, it's on the hospitals.
Or specifically hospitals in that case.
I think we stated earlier that obviously we check if anybody is particularly vulnerable, they will not be placed in a site like this. We will work with NHS partners to define those requirements for providing routine healthcare on site that is funded by the Home Office. There could be a necessity for an asylum seeker, if that healthcare need cannot be met on site, to go to a local hospital. But at these sites, I think the average stay is quite low for asylum seekers. So if they are determined as vulnerable, they would not be in this type of site.
And the lady at the front, Jack, if we can, please. Thank you. It's probably the last question we have time for at the moment.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I think a lot of you know who I am by now. I'm Kim Bailey, and I'm the chair of Crowborough Shield. Actually, I'm going to give Andrew a break for a moment because I'm going to direct my questions to Rachel and to James.
Well, I hear you, but we have literally 3-4 minutes left with the Home Office, and this will rule out the questions of the Home Office.
I don't think the Home Office is actually answering any questions, and it's a bit of a waste of time.
All right, if you're happy to go ahead.
So if they're happy?
Yeah, we're happy. Okay.
Obviously not. Of course.
All right, when we take that question first,
Yep.
and then hold on 2 seconds. We need to get the microphone to you, otherwise they cannot hear you, sir. Okay.
Andrew, good evening. Thanks for coming. What I want to know, though, is would you commit to having a local scrutiny committee, if this does go ahead, not made up of anybody who's on that stage, okay, independent, okay, to scrutinise the performance and what is going on in the camp that's directly reportable back to the community? You've got Kim here tonight, so you've got the foundation of an independent group. Would you commit to that going forward, please?
No. The work we'll do will be that we'll be with the democratically, locally led authorities in the area.
Can I ask you one question again before the time with the Home Office ends? And you have heard the anger in this room, Andrew, and you are not a stranger to it. It's not the first time you've been in this position. Is this a two-way street, or is this just a chance to defend what everyone in this room suspects is a fait accompli and it's already going to happen? Will you take back to the government, in your role as a civil servant here, any of the anger, the disappointment, the frustration, the passion that you've heard in this room and go, this community really doesn't want it and feels hugely unfairly treated? Hold on, let him answer. Andrew.
It's exactly my job to take back the concerns and the anger that everyone in the audience has articulated. It's exactly my job to feed that back to ministers and to make sure they understand the impact of the decisions that they make, and the feelings of members of the community, whether they're...
So who do you make hang on! Hold on just a second. Who do you make representation to? Who will this information be supplied to?
The ministerial team here at the Home Office, including the Home Secretary.
Okay, so the Home Secretary will be made aware of what the feeling in this room was like tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the time being. I'm sorry to interrupt you originally, but you can see I wanted to get what we've got with the Home Office, the time available. Please go ahead. I can't, sir, because I am out of time, and I promised that this lady would have a chance to speak. So please, can we hear from her? I appreciate. There are other opportunities to make your representation, sir. I am up against time. I appreciate it. Can we let her speak? Sir, I appreciate that. I can do only what I can within the matter of the time that I've been given. Please speak.
Thank you. Right, so obviously you know the feeling in this room, Rachel and James. Now, you say that you are challenging it, you are taking legal advice, but you've actually been given the opportunity to join the legal proceedings that we are pursuing as a residents group, but you have declined to join. To make us stronger, having Wealden Town Council on board will strengthen our case no end. You have declined. Why?
We were advised against doing that, and I'm afraid I don't know why.
You don't know... Sorry. So you don't know why, but you just said no without knowing why. Is that correct? Is that leadership?
We're getting legal advice from the King's Council.
As are we.
And we will therefore follow advice so that we give any case the best chance it has.
Okay.
So we're doing that on behalf of our residents.
You're doing it on behalf of your residents. Is that what you just said, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So, I mean, we have appointed King's Council and we managed to put in a letter before action within days. Mm-hmm. You're saying you're still contemplating. Why haven't you even put in a letter before action and to get disclosure, to get the documents? Why have you not done that yet? That doesn't mean you're actually taking legal action. That just means that you're getting the information to identify whether you can. So why have you not done that?
We're taking the steps that we're taking following advice.
Again, our advice is not to do that.
Do you think you need a new KC?
Yeah, and so we were advised not to do that, and.
But there's no harm in a letter before action. It just says, actually, we're thinking about it. We'd need some documents to identify whether we've got a case.
Well, if I was you and I wouldn't have this conversation with the Home Office here, but if you want to, fine. But our advice is that if you send in a letter before action before the decision has been made...
The decision has been made. The action... No, they have said they haven't. They say they haven't.
When was the
Their actions conclude that they have.
Let's get to the bottom of this. When was the decision made?
So, just, I don't know if you can hear me, but it sounds like
Okay,
it would be
So
easier.
hang on,
if
Andrew
if
has
we
something to
left,
say.
so I'm
Sorry,
very
Andrew, we
happy
can hear you now.
to go.
Andrew?
It may well be that it is easier for us now to leave.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to offer much more to this community.
Thank you.
Okay, and in this instance, thank you very much indeed to Andrew. Thank you to Louisa. Thank you to the questions that you have posed. We are indeed out of time. In fact, we're overrunning on time at this point. One more question is fine, but will you please show your appreciation to Andrew and to Lisa for being here? Okay, one final question if we may. Thank you.
So just to conclude that one then, it just appears to every person in this room that you're just running down the clock and not giving us a chance. So my second question is actually directly to you, Rachel. It does actually go to you as well, James. You did a video the other day, Rachel, saying that all of these people, you know, doctors and engineers and surgeons that are coming here, and we should give them the right to work. Now, firstly, engineers, doctors and surgeons do not come from France on a dinghy and throw their medical certificate overboard. It's very clear to me that you really don't understand the small boat crisis. So therefore, I'm going to say, why don't you resign, both of you, and make way for someone who understands the crisis? It's not a joke, Rachel. I'm serious. You do not have the capabilities to do this. You don't understand the small boat crisis. Step down, both of you, and let someone else take lead and actually get us what we need and represent this community, because you don't.
So, I appreciate your questions. And I appreciate the passion you've shown in this room. And this is the point we have to bring things to a conclusion. And to do so, at this point, I will say thank you to everyone who asked a question. If you didn't manage to get your question answered, you can submit further questions to the Town Council via their website. To wrap up, I'm going to invite the three people who spoke originally, if you would still like to do so, to speak. Well, you don't have to, but Natalie, the platform is yours.
Is my mic live? My mic's not live. Hello?
Yeah, that's on. It's just they're shouting so loudly you can't hear them.
Good night.
That's enough.
Good night.
If you want to be able to hear and have a coherent conversation, then please do listen. The views that you expressed here have been listened to and heard as best you can possibly do. The answers that have been given to you are the answers that you're going to get at this stage. To conclude proceedings, because we are now over time, can I please ask Natalie to conclude? Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry. I just wanted to say thank you for coming. And there are, just to remind everyone that this is being recorded and that there are notes as well that will be available on the website. So it will be available for everyone as well. So thank you for coming out. And I appreciate the feelings. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed for your time. Thank you for coming out. One point can I please make as you leave? Can you please do quietly? It is a residential area. And please travel safely.